video too. Yay. So we can post and everything and the whole world can see. Good morning. Good morning. Yay. Okay, so today we're talking about there's no place like home. Do you guys, does that make it sound familiar? Like, does that ring any bells, like where you might have heard that phrase? From The Wizard of Oz? 1939, There's No Place Like Home. Remember Dorothy? This story is actually a very spiritual story. And, just like the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna represents us, Dorothy represents us in this story. She's going on a journey. And she starts out at home, but then she ends up going to this different world to try to figure out basically who she is. And she realizes she wants to go home. So in the movie, she finds out that the secret is you just say this mantra, there's no place like home, right? It's a mantra. It's an affirmation. It's a mantra. And she clicks her heels together 3 times, her ruby red slippers, right? And then she goes home. The point of the whole movie is that it's there inside her all the time. And there's a reason why home is the word home, because it has om in it. Om, what does om mean? There's no meaning to it, but what does it represent? You can see in this picture, I'm glad it's up here. So this is the om right here, and it's a little sideways. Let's picture it straight up, so it kind of looks like a 3. And it represents oneness, the all, the universe, like everything, totality. And in Vedanta, we talk about there are 4 states of consciousness. There's actually many, but 4 states that we are like aware of, that we go into every day. There's waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and then there's this veil here which doesn't let us see. Like we're in daily life, we're seeing waking, dreaming, sleeping. But then there's this veil of illusion that we can't see, and this is the highest state, the 4th state, which is Turiya, which is enlightenment, which is that state you get into when you go into deep meditation. And you feel at one with everything. It's all about oneness. It's all about getting that connection to spirit. And we can call it spirit, we can call it universe, we can call it God, we can call it Brahman. I don't know, name a name. There's a lot of names. Allah, Krishna, there's a lot of names. It doesn't matter. It's the oneness that we are all in, that we all are. It's interesting. Source is another name. Source is another name. It's interesting. What I love about science of mind is that it is so inclusive. And I love that we do candles of faith every time, because it's just so welcoming. And it doesn't matter what your vocabulary is. You are welcome here. You belong here. We relate to you. And recently, I've been taking this course in Kabbalah. Have you guys ever taken a course in? Oh my gosh, I am loving it. It is so cool. And I kind of got interested in it because I saw this guy on Instagram, David Guillaume, and he's at the Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles. And what he was saying, I'm like, this is Vedanta. It really, there's so many parallels with Vedanta. And I'm like, I need to learn more about it. So they have this course online, and it's $49, but they want anybody to take it, so you can make any donation. You can pay $1 and take the course. So I took it, and I'm just like, this is so cool. It's so interesting. It's so approachable. And he gives this one example, which I'm going to adapt it a little bit. to go with the Wizard of Oz, okay? So Dorothy, before she gets carried away to this land of Oz, she sings a song. Do you remember the name of the song? Somewhere over the rainbow. You know, that song almost didn't make it in the movie. Can you believe it? And that's like the most iconic song and stuff. They had it, and then they cut it out. They said, "Oh, the movie's too long," and we'll just cut this out. And then the songwriters said, "No, you have to leave that in. That's iconic." And thank goodness they did. I think it won Best Song that year too. But the idea is that, what is a rainbow? A rainbow is a bunch of colors, right? And where do they come from? They come from light. So the colors themselves are an illusion. They're not there in the sky all the time. They come from this light, the light of the sun. The sun is the one. And in the example that David gave in the Kabbalah, he talks about a prism. And when the light comes through the prism, the refraction gives all these colors, right? So he says the example is that each of the colors could represent something we want, something we are striving for, something we are going for. Wealth, a good relationship, our own home, a better job, health, all this stuff, right? But the problem is, if you just go chasing after one of the colors, you might even get it, but it's not real. It goes away. You can't hang on to it. You're just chasing an illusion, like chasing the rainbow. Dorothy doesn't say, "I want to be in the rainbow. I want the yellow of the rainbow." She wants to go over the rainbow, beyond the rainbow. What is beyond the rainbow? Beyond the rainbow is the light that makes the rainbow, right? Source. So I think that's a really important concept. And, we have the same thing in Vedanta too, where it's like, you don't want to get caught up pursuing, health or wealth or, fame, whatever. If you just focus on your spirituality, if you focus on God, the sun, source, universe, whatever it is, then all of that other stuff comes out of it naturally, because that's the source for everything. So that's the source for you, and that's the source for all of the virtues and the attainments, anything you want to manifest. I remember one of my very first spiritual teachers, Louise Taylor, she always said that spirituality is like the trunk of a tree. And when you're growing a tree, you want the trunk to be healthy. And then all the branches grow out of it. You get the health, you get the psychic abilities, you get the wealth, you get the parking place, you get the love of your life. All this stuff just comes out of it. But focus on the trunk, which is your spirituality. So I think that's an important lesson for us to learn. And I think that's a lesson that, in the end, Dorothy learned. Because after she had all these experiences and saw all these wild things, she's like, I just want to go home, because that's where everything is. I just want to go back to source. I want to go back to the light. And then when she went back, she saw everything in a different way. She could appreciate it more and understand. So I also saw, thank goodness for Instagram. I get so much inspiration. So somebody said, okay, that quote by Descartes, I think, therefore I am. And the I am, what is I am? That's another word that represents wholeness, oneness, God, the I am, right? But did you know that's not the real quote? They left out something. They like truncated Descartes' quote. The real quote, the long quote, the whole sentence that he said was, I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. Now, doesn't that shift things a little bit? It does, because I think when you're on the level of thinking, then you're just in your head. But the level of I doubt comes first. And where does that come from? Well, in India, when I go to India, people use doubt as the same as we would use question. So instead of saying, do you have any questions? They say, do you have any doubts? They always say that. And I'm like, where do they mean, do you have any questions, right? But that's it. Do we have any questions? Well, yes, we have questions. Oh my gosh, do we have questions? Like every day. Why the heck this? Why that? What do you mean? What is this all about? Why is this person in my life? Why did he say that? Why am I reacting so strongly? What, is going on here? What is my life all about? When am I getting out of here? It's like, all these questions. But that's a good thing. Doubt is a good thing because it causes us to think. It causes us to examine. It causes us to go deeper and go within. So many times we're looking for answers and solutions on the outside of us. We're chasing those colors, thinking, once I get that car, that'll solve my problems, because then it'll be an electric car and I won't have to pay for gas and this, blah, 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 and you think, okay, that'll be great. You get the car. Oh, I'm so happy. I reached my goal. I got the car. Then you get the insurance bill. Wait, it's a new car. The insurance is higher. Oh, now it's electric, so my electricity bill's higher. I'm not saving money, I guess. Why did I do this? Well, I was so much happier with my old car. Did I make the right decision? And now we doubt again, right? This is life. But hopefully, when you contemplate, you doubt, then for you think, then when you get to the real of it, you're like, wait, that car didn't make me happy, but my old car didn't make me happy. But is any car going to make me happy? Like, is any relationship going to make me happy? Oh, wait, in meditation, I have that glimpse. I have that peace of mind. I have that moment of exhale, bliss. I am that. I am that. And that's what it's all about. The I am in Vedanta is Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. That is what we are. And, in Science of Mind, you've got that triumvirate. In Christianity, there's the Holy Trio. And this is what it is in Vedanta, too. Existence, consciousness, bliss. And this thinking, this going within, this I am, leads us to self-realization. Now let's look at that for a second. Self-realization is, it's that light bulb moment. Oh, this is who I am. Right? This is, I realize this, or I realize that, there is a different quote from Descartes. It's learning the truth. Self-realization, learning the truth. I realize that there is another part to that Descartes quote. It's gaining knowledge that leads you to a deeper understanding. But it's also, think of the word realization. It's also making something real. It's taking it from the level of thinking to the level of knowing. It's having that, what I always say about Dr. Sue is she has conviction. And that's what I admire about her most of all, is she doesn't just know it, She's convinced of it. She has that conviction that this is the truth. And that's how we all need to be. We start with those doubts, then we think about it, and then we get to the therefore I am. But we can always be more solid in the I am, and that go back to that source all the time. And this is a lifelong process. I mean, you guys are all in my generation. We've been going through it for all this time. But think about when you were a little kid, what did you believe? What did you feel? How did you find that happiness? And a lot of times it was from playing. A lot of times it was from nature, from having that wonder. Have we lost that childlike wonder just looking at the trees and everything? Sri Ramakrishna had his very first samadhi when he was 7 years old. So samadhi is like an episode of enlightenment, when you go into that almost like a trance-like state, when you see everything as one. And the story is that he was playing with his friends, and they were outside in nature, and this was back in the 1800s or something, right? Like late 1800s. So, there was no cell phones. There was probably no electricity, whatever. He was just playing. And he looks up in the sky, and he sees this black rain cloud, just like such a black cloud. And I'm sure he's like staring at it going, wow, a black cloud. I've always seen white clouds. I see this black cloud. This is so interesting. And it just caught his attention. And then these white cranes flew across the black cloud. And it just sent him into samadhi. He thought it was so beautiful. He just couldn't think, couldn't speak, couldn't move. And his friends were like, hey, Gadadhar. His name at the time wasn't Sri Ramakrishna. He had a kid name. Gadadhar was his name. Gadadhar, wake up. And he's just staring. Like, they didn't know what to do. So they ran home and got his parents, who came and go, oh, okay, let's get him out of it. Let's bring him home. But he always remembered that. That was his first glimpse of it. Nature is a great way for us to get in touch with our inner selves. In the Christian tradition, there's something called nature mysticism. And there's a practice, of going into nature. And in Ayurveda, seeing the 5 elements that makes up everything in nature, including us. Nature is a great teacher for us. Nature is an expression of oneness. And we can learn about ourselves and see ourselves reflected in nature. It gives us examples of how to be. The flower doesn't try to grow. The doesn't try to bloom. The flower doesn't says, wait, I'm a yellow flower. I wanted to be a pink flower. What is this? I need to change. The flower, it just is. And it's perfect the way it is. The daisy doesn't go, I'm jealous of that rose. What the heck? How come I didn't turn out to be a rose? But this is what we do to ourselves all the time, right? We compare ourselves to others, and we think, why aren't I doing this? Why? The second way we can really learn about ourselves is through our pain. And this is what I'm learning in the Kabbalah class too, that pain has a function. And yeah, it gets our attention. So, in practical ways, we stub our toe. We're like, okay, well, we won't do that again. We'll wear shoes next time, or we'll move the furniture, or we'll do what it teaches us. It just teaches us. But sometimes we have pain from loss, from relationships, from being treated badly. We suffer. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. But we take it personally, and we suffer. So in Kabbalah, they've got this tool that helps you. Instead of react, And in Stoicism, this is the thing too. So this is another, there's so many parallels. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter which religion or philosophy you follow, because we're all getting to the same place. In Stoicism, it says you can't control anything that happens to you, but you can control your response. And it's all about learning how to control your response. And that's what Kabbalah is saying too, is what is your reaction? Are you going to be reactive, or are you going to be proactive? So what we're supposed to do is, when a situation comes up that causes us pain, and we feel that, how dare they, or what did he just say, or how I didn't do that, the defensiveness that comes up, we're supposed to say, pause, and then say to ourselves, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. Because this is an opportunity for us to grow. This is an opportunity for us to be proactive and not reactive. So the pause is where we start thinking, okay, let me think about this for a while. You don't have to respond. You don't have to react. You don't have to fight back. You don't have to defend yourself, whatever it is. You just need to step back and remember who you are. Bring light and love into the situation. And you really don't need to say a thing, because right then and there, just by you not reacting, you've learned and you've grown. And you can deal with it later, after you've processed. It's really difficult to try to process everything in the immediate moment when you're in that reactive state. But we need to deal with our pain rather than, reaching outward compulsively for our next hit of whatever it is. Some people deal with pain by trying to numb the pain with drugs or alcohol or food or shopping or relationships or whatever it is. Shun the outside. That leads to addiction, which leads to more pain, which leads to more addiction. And now you're in this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What does that sound like? Karma. Karma leads to action, leads to memory, leads to another action. You know what I mean? It's like this karmic cycle. We want to get out of the freaking karmic cycle. So we need to change our habits. We need to pause. We need to be mindful. We need to be proactive. So one way we can do that, and the easiest way, is to get into our hearts. Get out of your mind, get into your hearts. Bring love and light into the situation. This is bhakti yoga. This is love. This is love. I'm not saying don't feel the pain. Feel the pain, process it, infuse it with love. Know that it's there for your own good and for your own growth. Okay. We have a holiday coming up. Right now we're in Ganesh's birthday time, 10 days of Ganesh's birthday situation. Ganesh is the god of wisdom. He's the remover of obstacles. He really loved his parents. He had a great lesson in, it's like such a long story, but to make it really, really fast. So he had this younger brother. Ganesh is the guy with the elephant head, okay? He's got an elephant head and a human body. He's a little boy, 10 years old. He's got this brother who's super handsome, super athletic. Poor little Ganesh, right? So there's something that both of them wanted. And the parents said, well, we don't know who to give it to. We'll have a competition. You guys race around the world. The person that comes back wins the prize. The little brother's like, you're on. He goes, takes off on his flying peacock, and he starts flying around the world. Ganesh is like, yeah, right. I've got a mouse that I'm supposed to write on. How's this going to work? So Ganesh uses his wisdom and uses his love. And he says, okay, parents, Shiva and Parvati, his parents. And he starts circumambulating them. He starts walking around them And they're like, what are you doing? He says, you said to go around the world. And you, my parents, are my world. I love you like the world. And they said, oh, you won. So we got to think smarter, right? Think smarter, not work harder, but think smarter. Love comes in many forms, and it doesn't matter what words you use. It matters the words coming from your heart. There's a story about this little child would go to the Krishna altar all the time and start praying and chanting. And he's only like 3 years old. And the priest would watch him, the Swami would watch him and think, how does this little guy know these Vedic chants? How does he know the chants? So finally, after like 3 or 4 days of seeing this kid come at the same time, he'd go up to him and said, do you know these Vedic chants? You're very young to know these chants. How do you know these chants? He says, oh no, I don't know the chants. But we learned in kindergarten, we learned the ABCs, the alphabet. So what I do is I just keep saying the ABCs so many times I say the ABCs, and then I say, dear Krishna, these are the letters. Please take them and arrange them in whatever prayer you like. That's the love in his heart. That's what Krishna, God, Source, recognizes as our sincerity, our devotion, our love, that we're trying, our efforts. So where is this place where there's no place like home? Right here. That's it. All right, Bill Rotella.